You're a soccer fan from Brazil. You spent 6 months saving for the trip. You bought a World Cup ticket through FIFA's official portal at a price that, after fees, ran you around $700 American for a group stage match. You booked a hotel in Manhattan because you wanted to be in the heart of New York City for one of the biggest sporting events of your life. The match is at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 9 miles from your hotel, about a 15-minute train ride. You open the NJ Transit app to buy a ticket. The price is $150, round trip. For a ride that on any other day of the year costs $12.90, you think there must be a mistake. You scroll back. You check the date. You read the small print. There is no mistake. For 8 specific match days during the 2026 World Cup, the train ticket between Manhattan and the stadium will cost almost 12 times its normal price. We've always been told that public transit exists to make access to a city affordable. That's the deal. Public roads, public buses, public trains. Built with public money, operated for the public good, priced so that ordinary people can get where they need to go. That assumption breaks the moment a major sporting event arrives. This is the story of how a $13 train ticket became a $150 train ticket. Why one of America's largest transit agencies is openly charging surge pricing during one of the largest sporting events in human history. And what the math actually looks like when a public utility is forced to host a private global tournament on its own infrastructure. Let's begin. You need to understand the geography first, because the geography is the entire problem. MetLife Stadium sits in the swampy lowlands of East Rutherford, New Jersey. It is the home of 2 NFL teams, the New York Giants and the New York Jets. It will host 8 matches of the 2026 World Cup, including the final on July 19th. The stadium has a capacity of around 78,000 people for major events. It is also surrounded by almost nothing. The stadium has a parking lot. Normally, that lot can absorb tens of thousands of cars on a game day. For the World Cup, FIFA has taken most of that lot for its fan village, broadcast staging, security, and operational space. The parking that remains is being sold separately in advance for around $225 per spot. So the question becomes, how do 78,000 people physically get to a stadium with no parking in a swampy part of New Jersey 9 miles from the nearest major city? The answer, by necessity, is rail. NJ Transit's Meadowlands rail line runs directly to the stadium. On a normal football Sunday, it shuttles tens of thousands of fans efficiently in and out of the venue. The agency has roughly 2 decades of experience moving large crowds to this specific spot. For the World Cup, NJ Transit anticipates moving around 40,000 fans per match by rail. That is more than they have ever done at a single venue, and they have to do it 8 times in 5 weeks, while also running their regular daily service for ordinary New Jersey commuters who still need to get to work. This is basically like running a hospital and being told that 8 times in the next month, the entire stadium across the street will close its parking lot. All 78,000 visitors will arrive simultaneously, and you have to handle the surge without disrupting any of your scheduled patients. It is a logistics problem, and logistics problems in the modern American transit landscape cost money. Here is where the math comes in. NJ Transit officials have publicly stated that they expect to spend around $62 million transporting fans to and from the stadium over the duration of the tournament. That number covers the additional staff, the additional rolling stock, the increased frequency of trains, the security required to handle international crowds, the overtime, the cleanup, and the infrastructure upgrades needed to absorb the surge. Of that $62 million, federal grants are expected to cover about $14 million. That leaves a gap of roughly $48 million. The agency had 2 basic options: either pay for the gap out of its existing operating budget, which would mean cutting service for ordinary commuters, or charge the World Cup ticket holders directly. NJ Transit chose to charge the ticket holders. The math behind the $150 fare works out roughly as follows. If 40,000 fans take the train per match across 8 matches, you get 320,000 round-trip fares. At $150 each, that produces around $48 million in additional revenue. Almost exactly the gap. If you want to keep getting these kinds of infrastructure investigations, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We post a new deep dive every Wednesday at 4 p.m. The agency has been publicly explicit about this. NJ Transit's CEO Chris Kaluri told reporters that the pricing is not price gouging. He said, "We're literally trying to recoup our costs." The political backlash has been loud. New York's Senator Chuck Schumer has called on FIFA to cover the transit costs directly. New York's Governor Kathy Hochul has publicly questioned the fairness of charging more than $100 for a 15-minute train ride. New Jersey's Governor Mickey Sherrill has accused FIFA of pocketing billions while leaving New Jersey commuters holding the bag. The numbers behind FIFA's revenue do support the argument. FIFA's projected revenue for the 2023 to 2026 World Cup cycle is approximately $11 billion. That is a 71% increase over the previous cycle. The 2026 World Cup, jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, is on track to be the most lucrative tournament in the sport's history. FIFA, for its part, has pushed back. The organization has pointed out that other host cities, including Los Angeles, Dallas, and Houston, have committed to keeping their normal transit fares unchanged for the duration of the tournament. FIFA has also noted that it advocated for federal transportation grants for host cities, and that the existing host city agreements signed back in 2018 do not require FIFA to pay for fan transportation. Both sides have a point. Now, the deeper issue. The $150 fare is not just a quirky pricing decision, it is a glimpse into a larger question that American cities are quietly struggling with. Who actually pays for the infrastructure that hosts global private events? When a city hosts a World Cup, an Olympics, or a Super Bowl, the public infrastructure has to scale up dramatically for a brief period. Roads must be policed. Trains must be expanded, hospitals must be staffed, stadium districts must be secured, sanitation must be intensified. Historically, this cost was absorbed by the host city as a kind of civic investment. The argument was that the publicity, the tourism revenue, and the international prestige would more than pay back the public expenditure. The newer math, however, is more skeptical. Multiple academic studies of recent Olympics and World Cups have found that the long-term economic benefits to host cities are often smaller than promised, and sometimes negative once all costs are accounted for. The infrastructure improvements often serve the event better than they serve the residents who paid for them. The tourism boost often disappears within a year. Some of the new venues sit empty after the cameras leave. NJ Transit's $150 fare is, in some sense, a statement that this old model is over. New Jersey is no longer willing to absorb the cost of hosting a global tournament on behalf of its everyday commuters. If FIFA wants the World Cup at MetLife, FIFA's customers will pay for the trains. This is a recognizable shift. The same logic now drives a lot of public infrastructure pricing across the United States. Toll roads with dynamic pricing, surge fares on transit during big events, special access fees for tourists in cities like Venice, add-on charges for park entry. The era of public infrastructure as an unquestioned subsidy is slowly ending. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing depends on where you sit. If you're a New Jersey resident who relies on NJ Transit to get to work, the surge fare may seem fair. Your daily fare is not going up. The visitors are paying for the visitor surge. Your tax dollars are not being quietly redirected to subsidize a Brazilian soccer fan's hotel-to-stadium commute. If you're that Brazilian soccer fan, the fare looks like the latest in a series of FIFA-related extractions. Your match ticket already cost hundreds. Your hotel is likely surge-priced. Your shuttle bus, if you take one of those instead, runs about $80 round trip. Every layer of the experience has been adjusted upward to capture maximum revenue from your trip. Both perspectives are accurate. Neither is obviously wrong. The $150 train ticket is the price tag of a civic argument the United States has been having for the last 30 years, finally made visible in a single dollar amount. Public infrastructure built with public money is now being rented to private events at private prices. The Brazilian fan arriving at Penn Station is, without realizing it, walking into the middle of that argument. The next time you see surge pricing on something that used to be a public good, think about the math. Somebody paid to build it. Somebody is paying to maintain it. Somebody is now being asked to pay extra to use it on the busiest day. The question of who that somebody is, and whether they should be, is one of the quietly defining questions of modern American civic life. The train will run. The fans will pay. The matches will happen. And the deeper question, who actually pays for the public, when the public hosts the world, will still be sitting on the platform waiting for the next big event to ask it again. If this changed how you think about public infrastructure and big events, share this video with someone who is going to the World Cup this summer. They might want to know what they're actually paying for when they tap their transit card. Stay curious. We'll see you Wednesday.